Hello, everyone, and welcome to 80 Days. This is going to be my first Let's Play. My name is Ryan, and I wanted to go ahead and start with the very top of my Steam library list games, which turned out to be 80 Days. I picked this up in a Steam bundle, I think, during one of their mini flash sales, and it's been sitting in my inventory for a while, so I thought I'd pick something fairly simple, easy. Don't really know anything about this game other than it's based on the book by Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. I don't know really anything about the gameplay, so let's just go ahead and dive right on in. London, 1872. I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. It would seem he is a gambling man. Now, I've never read the book by Jules Verne, but I have watched a few different adaptations, both when I was younger, the animated versions, and some older live-action versions, and I enjoy the story, so I'm hoping that this game can live up to. It is fairly similar to the book, or at least the movies, since I've never read the book. But I am curious how exactly you're supposed to get around the world. Is this going to be a strategy-based game? Am I going to be an actual person? It looks like let's dive into London. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned home early from the Reform Club and in a newfangled steam carriage besides. I helped him down, and the iron-lunged, steam-driven horses clattered away. Passepartout, he said, we are going around the world. Around the world, monsieur? Very good, monsieur. Are we going to question? Sure, around the world. I asked, utterly astonished. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed his wild scheme. We leave for Paris on the 8:25, in an hour. But I have not prepared. You are in jest. It was a shocking turnabout. I am definitely not prepared, I said wretchedly, quickly trying to organize a list of necessary items in my mind. Then do it now. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste. You, Passepartout, now have funds. Your character is now steadfast. All right, then. Quickly, Passepartout. Collect our things and we will be off. Let's pack. Evening jacket. Well-fitting, neatly tailored Seville Row evening jacket. Priceless. Part of the Englishman's wardrobe set. Slender volume listing all shipping routes within Europe. Routes for ships in Europe will be visible on the globe. That might be important. Let's get our altimeter. Air sickness and psychological. An altimeter can be most reassuring. That sounds comforting, I guess. Evening jacket. Alright. You can always trust a man in a well-starched woolen shirt. And the cut is most dependable, the color most decidedly nondescript. We now have completed our wardrobe, and every dapper man needs to have a complete wardrobe, so let's move on. So our completed Englishman's wardrobe should help us negotiate times of upper-class journeys. Let's hope it's upper-class the whole way. Embark for Paris. Departing now. The guard's van has space for one suitcase, which will suffice. Travel will be a bearable option. Onward. Mechanical horses raced past. Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 8:25 was blowing as we pulled up to the Charing Cross station. We have no tickets, I exclaimed. We raced along the concourse and threw ourselves aboard. Sure, let's be illegal. We barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. Tickets, please. Alas, monsieur, we were in a great hurry. I pretended to have lost them. Fake it till you make it, right? Patting down one pocket and then the other, and was about to start digging through our suitcases when Monsieur Fogg interrupted my touching performance. My valet is trying to express that we were in too much haste to purchase tickets, he said, no doubt intending to chasten me. Well, I am a liar, so for my dissimulation, we may purchase them from me. You may purchase them from me, the guard was saying. Blah, blah, blah. Though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. £85, please. Good Lord, that's expensive. I argued with him, but only displeased Monsieur Fogg further. Passepartout, you will pay the sum at once, he put in coldly, and remunerate this man for his patience. I handed the man 100 and added a word or two of advice about allowing a little leniency to gentlemen in their hours of need. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Your funds have gone down by a fair amount. Your relationship with Fogg has deteriorated somewhat. Your character is now shabby. Wonderful. Let's converse. Let's begin with our journey. But tell me, monsieur, what is the purpose of our journey? I have made a hefty wager, and I do not intend to lose. This journey will be most expensive, monsieur. Indeed, but we can earn a little from buying and selling our possessions as we travel. Very good. So I'm wondering if this is how much we have to get all the way around the world. My guess is yes, apart from being able to sell whatever we can pack in those bags, which did not look like a lot. London smog gave way to rolling hills and the pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg read his paper whilst I repacked our bags. We passed the day in silence. Let's repack the bags, thrown together in haste and confusion. As afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke their silence rarely, if at all. The guard rapped on our door a few miles before Dover. We are about to submerge, he warned. Takes some people a bit funny, so watch out. What do you mean, submerge? I cried. This is the London to Paris Amphitrite Express, he explained as though to a particularly dim-witted child. The submersible train? Talk of all the London papers? Then this is the Mer train, I exclaimed. He made a face. Bloody journalists and their silly names, he muttered. Every inch of her has been examined and stamped with the artificer's seal. This is the world's only bathyscaped locomotive. I pressed my face to the window glass as the fins above the Amphitrite's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss. Night fell and we plunged past the end of the track into the freezing water of the English Channel. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. Good. Need to keep them up. The Amphitrite plowed through the water overnight and splashed up onto wider gauge French tracks at Calais as dawn broke. Do you have a route in mind, monsieur? I asked as the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows. I am as yet undecided, my master admitted. The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia. Oh, surely not Siberia, I exclaimed. It is too cold and grim, and I have a particularly fear of bears. Then we would do well to buy furs, he replied, refraining from rolling his eyes. There are other alternatives. We may also travel over land and across the Black and Caspian seas. But which is fastest? because we need to know that. Because it's all a bet. Gotta earn that money. I believe he said that is what we shall put to the test. Parbleu, I scarcely knew what to think. Pardon my French, but I am attempting, based on a Spanish background, as to how these are pronounced, so if I'm butchering it for all of you French speakers, I am sorry. I will try my best. We arrived at Paris, Gare du Nord, just after 1 o'clock. Automaton porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Paris, city of my heart. I was home, but not to stay. Never been to Europe, Asia, any of those places. I've had some family members that have. I'm quite jealous because pictures, movies, videos, everything appears very beautiful. I can only imagine what it's like being a tourist and how crowded it can get at times. But even regardless of that, it would be a lifelong dream to visit Europe and tour the countrysides and visit all that there is to do there. So let's see. We made it to Paris. Some of our possessions could earn us well here. So we're limited on time. Let's check what the market is. Tucked away. I'm guessing this is what we have to buy, or can buy. We'd have to have an extra suitcase. A set of geometric drawing instruments precisely made and beautifully presented. Valuable in Copenhagen, Warsaw, and Budapest. If there is a map. Okay. So they said that was good in Copenhagen, Warsaw, and Budapest. So Copenhagen. Five days. Warsaw. Looks like there's a northern track. Looks like you could go south, perhaps, into China. Yeah, China, and the Philippines. But then where? Your best option may have to be through Japan to Hawaii to the US. And just stay on the northern hemisphere. So since Copenhagen's probably not on the way, let's ignore that one. I say let's move on for now. We don't need to be in the market. Especially since everything's closed and we've just lost a bunch of time. That's wonderful. Learning, I guess. I think we're gonna have to wait in the hotel. We took a hotel for the night. We will be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but traveling overnight will often be more efficient, so we must board the longest journeys available. Where possible. May not always be the best to be on the longest journeys, though if we're on a train the entire time that might not hurt. Perhaps, he replied, the short answer indicating, I think that one-day journeys might often be more flexible in their timing and could allow for more connections. Still, the surrounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. The clock is ticking, Passepartout. We must decide our next steps quickly. Click the clock to skip an hour if you're waiting for the market or bank to open. If it's not open, let's explore for a few hours. Okay. We had a few hours to spare. I asked Monsieur Fogg if I might enjoy my city before we had to leave. Indeed, and you should learn anything of note. Be sure to relay it. I nodded and headed into town. The talk on the street was of one thing only, an enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars and containing the technological marvels, art, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. My city still wore the scars. I ventured inside. Let's stay focused. But I was certain Monsieur Fogg did not intend for me to visit fairs, so I enjoyed a brief cup of coffee and then returned to my master armed with some options for the next leg of our journey. Relations with Fogg have improved. Your character is now sharp. Good. What to do at the bank? I must visit the bank, Monsieur Fogg declared. You have additional funds? I am a gentleman. They would extend me credit if required, he replied, but do you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpet bag under your supervision? I did not answer. I regarded. The manager of the bank we entered, a small man who greeted us with greedy enthusiasm. You wish to withdraw funds, we were told. I warn you, it may take some time. We're fine. We can't afford even a single day, I declared. We slipped out of the bank. Thankfully, our situation is not desperate, my master declared. Onwards. Since we're not well, let's head up to Copenhagen. Let's buy this extra suitcase. In case we head those ways. Let's close the briefcases and depart. So we need to head for Amsterdam. Wonderful. That was a waste. Good. Here, you have health. Found a member of the Coachmakers Guild to carry us to Amsterdam. She loaded the case onto the back, stoked the boiler, and took off at high speed along the coastal road, swerving around each corner with considerable skill, and I think some glee at our discomfort, a touch of showmanship. I clung on tight. This would be a terrific ride. Deteriorated. I guess he does not enjoy car rides. Talk. Greetings, driver. I cannot drive well if you are talking to me. Hardly seems important. We have a timetable for routes from Amsterdam to Christiania. On the subject of boats, I've heard you can get to Tehran from Baku by hydrofoil. Do tell me more about Tehran. I know that the quickest way to Tehran from here is to go via Bucharest. Tell me more about Bucharest. I've heard people say Bucharest is the little Paris. Well, goodbye. Once or twice the metal-rimmed wheels lifted the chassis clear from the road on one side, only to bump down after a chuff and puff more of the engine. We were jolted around like so much poultry. Ugh. We must have topped 40, perhaps even 50 miles an hour. A ghastly state of affairs. The Polish inventor Bozek, who had first attached a perfectly decent locomotive engine underneath a flimsy wooden crate, had a lot to answer for. Such cars were growing in popularity. I set about concocting ways to ease our suffering. A jacket stuffed under the behind, a shirt wrapped around the ears, jaw clenched, lip stiff, and prayers muttered. I attended to Monsieur Fogg, concerned that he would be suffering as I was. Somehow I had to ensure we did not travel in cars again. They get better. Okay, we're here pretty late, so we need to stay in a hotel. Well, the people of Amsterdam move about in canal side streets with a sense of optimism and good cheer. Our own mission left little time for exchanging pleasantries. I felt no pressing need to linger. Once, Amsterdam was a great center of trade and culture, but now it strikes me as a provincial sort of place. There was, of course, the route following the canals south, the short northerly canal that allowed access to the North Sea and beyond, towards Scandinavia. So many choices. All that remained was to choose how best to depart. Let's explore for a few hours. It took a few hours to explore, investigating various options for how we might continue our journey. Bank, market. Let's look what's here. I think we're going to be outside of there pretty soon. Lost Rembrandt. Munich. Well, that takes us pretty far south. We may want to do that though. And then hop back up to Warsaw. Vienna has routes from there. I guess we'll find out. Alright. Sell that, buy that, let's depart from Munich. The river barge departs from Munich at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Berlin, tomorrow at 8. Tomorrow at 8. Tomorrow at noon. It appears that we have missed everything. In that case, we might as well stick with Munich. So let's head back. Okay. Stay in a hotel. With what remained of the day, I did some minor alterations to our... I went to stretch my legs, and spoke to a cheerful Italian seamstress who had lost a purse, which I helped to find, and who then, between fits of great political passion, let it slip that you could obtain zoetropes in Prague, extremely valuable in Izmir. I paid £1 for the info. I asked her how she knew, and she launched into a long and complicated story about her mother's uncle's old Latin teacher. A convoluted tale, the only saving grace of which was the fact that some buyers will pay well for evening jackets from Copenhagen. So that's in Prague, but we're not in Copenhagen, so let's depart. Let's hit up Munich. River barge to Munich. You can have up to 4 suitcases. Departs in town. Travel looks like a bearable option. think we may want to have that with us. Yes. Yes, indeed. That opened up quite a bit. Alright, let's get out of here before the train leaves. We boarded a small barge docked by the canal side. On shore, Fogg appeared skeptical. Our goal, he reminded me, is to circumnavigate the entire globe in less than 3 months. This boat to me looks capable of less than walking speed. I assured him we would make swift progress. Perhaps he was right. I waved the boat away. Let's head that way anyway. Though I was not sure how I would arrange it. Very good, he replied, accepting my word on the matter. The rope was released and we took off from the bank and began very slowly to pace our way down the river. Greetings, Gert. Good day there. I am the pilot, yes? I am sure you know all about Munich. Not for me, I think. What about Berlin? Speaking of carriages, I understand one can travel from Delhi to Agra, but the journey is a tiring one. What's there in Agra? Did you know the last bank in Agra was closed? Okay. About Karachi. Alright then, I guess you have to leave. There must, my master reflected thoughtfully, be some way to make this barge move a little faster. It is powered, after all. Indeed, there is a boiler and a paddle. I am no mechanic. We can always make an attempt. He nodded. See to it. I opened my mouth and closed it again. Please, monsieur, I cannot achieve miracles, and if it cannot be done, let's keep our mouths closed. There is no use in arguing with him. I left the cabin and went up on deck. It was certainly true that we were crawling. We had left the canal and joined the Rhine and working against the current. The boat seemed to barely move at all. Went to look at the boiler, but it seemed to me a most simple affair. Coal in, steam out, and only so much coal would fit. Let's talk to the pilot. While revealing my purpose might make her uncomfortable, it was possible she knew a way to achieve my master's goal. How does this barge work? Subtle. The pilot shrugged. It's steam-powered, obviously. There's a paddle wheel underneath. I think that's it. What's the fastest this boat can go? About this fast, she replied. You can do a little more if you shut the flue on the boiler and keep the steam in. Let's slink away. Finding the flue in the boiler room easy enough. It took just a moment to flip shut. The response from the engine was immediate. It began to roar inside with a deep, throaty sound, and the boat began to plume through the water. My master would be most pleased. I woke to find we had made excellent progress overnight. Monsieur Fogg was overjoyed. He tied his own cravat, even combed his own mustaches. Munich by this evening, he remarked, a very good outcome. I could not help but bask in his pride. Let's not be too prideful yet. Indeed, I answered demurely, content in my knowledge of a job well done. It was that moment, of course, that the boiler decided to overheat. The stovepipe blew off the back of the boat and we slowed to a full halt. Oh boy. I raced to see the problem, but it was clear there was no easy solution. The barge pilot was scratching her head with an adjustable spanner. I can't see how it happened, she sighed. I had tuned the engine just right. Air pressure, no doubt. Perhaps so, the woman replied, but she did not seem much happier. She sat with fixing her engine while we idled in the water. It was not until evening that the barge began to move once more. Fabulous. Sounds like cheating the system this time did not work. The barge moved across the steady waters, not too fast and not too slowly. There was nothing else for us to do, so Monsieur Fogg involved himself with the newspaper and I passed the time studying. The apparel of passers-by. German fashion is a little behind Parisian styles, but it has a certain balance of practicality and flourish that I confess I admire. There are certainly more women who have embraced dress reform here than in London. I counted only a tenth in corsets of that. We moored at a dock close to Munich and closed the remaining miles in the back of a Bozek car, a design much the same as the boat but on wheels. Still, at least I was not responsible for its slowness. We arrived in Munich just as night was falling. Hopefully there's some time to... No, there's not. We can head to the market. We can sell this Rembrandt. Yes, that is quite a turnaround. Dang. Now I've got time for that. You can go around the whole world, but nothing surpasses a decent apple. Of interest to official, earnest, and soldier types. Valuable in Venice, Budapest, Dubrovnik. Probably said that wrong. Let's get these trains. Let's plan which way we want to head. I'm still thinking we want to head north. Departs in 2 days. Departs tomorrow. That'd be good. And we could get to Warsaw by Saturday. To Venice. So we're still Saturday. So I guess let's just head that way. The Franco-Prussian War had concluded but a year previously. Let's not flaunt. Again, let's not be prideful. That's going to get us into bad situations. French accent was a disadvantage during our short time in Munich. The concierge of our hotel was most suspicious when I approached the desk. I do not care for politics, which is very true. What was the enmity of nations to me? Still, in order to avoid any untowardness, I affected a Viennese accent for the duration of our stay. Monsieur Fogg inquired if I had developed a head cold, but otherwise refrained from comment as I rolled several consonants in the back of my throat as practice. I am now zestful. Wonderful. Exploring takes 4 hours. What time does this leave? Before 4. Let's explore. See if there's any better options. There was little daylight in Munich. The sky was shrouded in steam and oil fumes from the tractors and hydraulic excavators in the streets. A place of industry, then, whose citizens wore dark cloaks to protect their finery from the soot. I brushed a few specks of dirt from my collar absent-mindedly, far more intrigued by the gleaming machines remaking the city's skyline. Rumor had it that this work was the doing of a Bavarian king, but the spectacle was more interesting to me than the patronage. What does it matter who makes the machines when the machines themselves are so wondrous? Must we look for the Creator's hand behind every gleaming marvel? I shared my thought with Monsieur Fogg, who raised an eyebrow. All machines eventually go wrong, and then it is imperative that we know how to fix them. I felt altogether chastened. I do sometimes wonder if my master truly appreciates my skills. I am now well heeled, like a good dog. Seems bothersome. The Englishman's road should make my master more comfortable. Do I have that? I do not. And that's because that was in the past. Well, I guess you, sir, are screwed. Crossed from Munich to Berlin in a patched-up steam carriage. The smoke pumped out of the back through a tall iron chimney, leaving a soot-smudged wake which trailed behind us like a flag. Our driver, Christoph, the countryside, could not stop talking of his father, who was an engine driver and had just been promoted. The Kaiser has merged all the state railways into the Reich Railway, he told us proudly. We have the most efficient system in all of Europe. It sounds like an excellent option, I declared. Christoph grinned. It is. Only be sure to have your ticket. They have a little prison cell in the train station for those who try to jump aboard. Remember, in Berlin, at least, a train guard is a direct servant of their country. Then we will not try and do what we did in London. There's no need to waste time in a jail cell. Seeing as we will have to leave Berlin, hopefully, on Thursday. We were on the outskirts of Berlin when a shadow fell over the steam carriage. Christoph blanched and crossed himself, taking his hands from the wheel. I looked up, not knowing what to expect, but the sight that greeted me almost defied description. An Ottoman Gaiac class airship hung directly above the steam carriage, low enough that I could see a red-jacketed woman swinging from a trailing rope ladder and pointing towards us with a wild grin on her face. She shouted something and two mechanical claws were dropped off the side of the gondola, their pincers gleaming threateningly. Let's drive, I shouted urgently, but with our suitcases on the roof there was no way to achieve enough acceleration. I twisted round to see the arm as it swept past my cheek and clamped onto the metal chassis of the car. We were swept off the road, then hoisted upwards. Christoph's prayers grew louder and more desperate, but Monsieur Fogg merely looked out of the window as we were hauled up onto the deck of the pirate airship. We have been abducted, Monsieur. Perhaps we can turn this to our advantage. I suggested to my master in hushed tones, these pirates have an airship. He glanced at me with cool approval. We are of the same mind, Passepartout, he said. Two muscular crew members pulled us out of the carriage and onto the deck. As the red-jacketed red woman climbed over the side nimbly, she examined us with dark-eyed intensity before breaking into laughter. An Englishman, a Frenchman, and a Bavarian, she announced. It is like the beginning of a terrible joke. Why have you abducted us? I am Behi Bint Qasim, and this is my ship, the Canavar. I have little interest in you passengers. All I want is, apart from your steam carriage's engine. An engine part? I exclaimed. Why do you not simply buy one? We are pirates, Captain Chasm replied in wonderment as the crew fell about with laughter. Really, you are too precious. I decided to charm the captain into helping us. Let's see how charming I am. Surely she would appreciate the spirit of adventure which had driven our wager. A wager, you say? Her hand slipped into her pocket. I have something that needs to be delivered to the artificer of Suleyman'i, whatever, in Istanbul. Will you be going in that direction? What business do you have? I asked in surprise. None of your concern, was her trenchant reply. Well, are you going to Istanbul? Can I look? Oh. I think not. I admitted not wanting to become involved in such mysterious errands. Ah well, she shrugged, a strangely wistful expression on her face. It was nothing of importance. The rest of the journey I spent in interrogation, discovering what the quickest way to Minsk is via Warsaw. Finally, the Canavar dropped us off a short distance outside Berlin. Having no further use for us, Christoph lamented over the scavenged remains of his steam carriage. My father is going to be very angry, he sighed. A rather inconvenient method of travel, being abducted by pirates. Still, we had lost hardly any time at all. Alright guys, I've been doing this while my kid has been napping, so he is waking up now. We're on day 9. I think we've made a pretty decent chunk in this game, hopefully. So I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. I'll pick this up again, hopefully soon. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. Leave a comment, like, or subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. See you later.